Hello, 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 happy April, and welcome back to UFO Madness. You guys, March was a doozy. If you are just joining us, I'm Chelsea Souder, this is Lately Fashionable, and all this year I am doing a monthly UFO challenge where on the last day of the previous month, I draw a number for next month's project and then attempt to finish whatever project is in the corresponding numbers box within that month. Once again, I got this idea from Shelley Robson of The Quilted Forest. You can find her channel up here. How have I done so far? I finished January's UFO in January. That was good. I technically did not even touch the February UFO in the month of February. I did complete the wearable mock-up of the project that I had put in the UFO box. Technically they were both in the box, so I counted it as something was finished. Now March was not a garment. Come here, you. It was a project I had been dreading, which was recovering my laundry baskets because they are in sorry shape. I knew I was never going to finish all of them in a month, but I did finish one, so I accomplished something. It was such a pain, as you will see. Let's roll that footage now. I'm not sure I can adequately explain with words how badly I do not want to do this. Unfortunately, my desire to not do it is directly proportional to my desire to have it be done. So it's a good thing that I have this mechanism to force me to do the work, because otherwise I never would. So, here's the problem child. Well, one of them. This might be the worst of the bunch, which is why I picked it to work on first. Let's take a look. I am going to have to work on these one at a time because while I'm working on them, I am still going to have to do laundry. So it can really only be without one laundry basket at a time. Okay, so here is what we have. It is functional, but obviously these large sections of exposed metal are a problem. There are holes, there are stains, which I don't care that much about, but it's nice to have a new looking thing, which is what we are going to have in the end. I really like this style of laundry basket because it folds up and takes up very little space. I can hang them on the wall in my laundry room when I don't need them, and just easily open them up when I need to unload the dryer, so I like them. They're also very lightweight. I just don't like how terrible the materials are, basically. So, we are going to replace that fabric with, I have 4 different colors for my 4 different laundry bags. And I'm tempted to start with white, but I'm not going to do that for 2 reasons. First of all, they're already white, so if I redo one of them in white, it won't be easy to tell at a glance which is the new one and which is, you know, the old ones. And the second reason is I think I will be more inclined to work on this if I have a fun color to work on. So, let's see. I have 2 of each color, because that's how much I figured I will need. And I only have this webbing that I'm going to use for the handles in purple. And I have all the other colors of binding. So I think I'm going to start with the purple one. And then I'll have to get more webbing later to match the other colors if I can. Okay, so here are my materials. I got the mesh fabric at 2 different quilt stores. You can find them pretty easily. And I think I already had this one, which is why it's open. And I bought more of the bias tape and also the webbing at Wawak. So this should be a fairly straightforward process of taking apart the cover, cutting new pieces, sewing it back up. I don't think it's going to be difficult, at least not complicated. It might be tricky to maneuver around under the sewing machine. We'll find out. But I think the actual construction is going to be fairly straightforward. I am realizing I may need to come up with a different type of fabric for the bottom, because I don't know if I have enough to get all 4 side pieces and also the bottom from the mesh. So I may need to raid my stash. We will see. Let's start by taking it apart. I know I can do that. I chose to cut the cover apart along the already torn bias binding rather than seam ripping it to preserve the original shapes, because I wasn't planning on using any of these pieces for patterns. I knew I could just lay the actual metal frame on my fabric and cut around it, and I figured that would be easier and cleaner. You will see me reshaping the corners of all of these wire frames to match the one that was rather pointed on one side. I think frankly because I just liked the shape. This did turn out to be a mistake. Two side pieces and the bottom cut out. I did go ahead and seam rip the binding all along the bottom so that I could use the clean, free fabric piece as a pattern. And I intentionally cut basically a seam allowance beyond the edge of the wire frame so that I could turn it over, and I pinned it in place, and I'm now going to go along and baste this edge so that I can have the fully closed frame side to work with. I think this will just make it much easier to work with if I have the fabric fully attached all along the edge of the frame before trying to then enclose that in the bias tape binding while assembling it. So I'm going to go do that. Except I didn't do that. I instead went and picked up my kids from school. They had dentist appointments and I had to pick them up early. But it's kind of fortunate because while I was driving, I had a thought, which, first of all, I think I forgot to explain yesterday that part of the reason I want to wrap the webbing around the wire is so that it hopefully won't wear through the bias binding as fast as it wore through the really cheap polyester binding. But then, like I said while I was driving, I had a thought. What if, before I do that, I also wrap the wire with twill tape? And I have a lot of twill tape because I saved all of the ties that came off the petticoats from my Colonial Williamsburg haul from a few years ago. I don't remember how long it's been. But I have used several of those petticoats for garments in the meantime, and I saved all the twill tape because I do not throw things away if they could be useful. And now I have a use for them, potentially. So I'm going to try that out, see how it works. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Hopefully it doesn't make the wire too bulky that I can't then actually bind it with the twill tape, bias tape. So Wish me luck. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to work super well. It definitely does not cover the bulkiest parts. And even here, where I used a thinner, less bulky strip, it's still like barely fitting around. So I'm gonna scrap that idea. I think it was a good thought, but not going to work for this particular project, unfortunately. Oh look, the acute angle of the pointed corner turns out to be a problem getting it under the machine and the presser foot. Who could have predicted? Okay, I have all of the pieces basted on, and I've laid it out in the configuration that it needs to go together. As you can see, I also cut out the handle parts. And now I'm a little bit at a loss of where to start. I think I'm going to need to study one of the remaining baskets. I could study this, but it's kind of a mess. Also, I'm realizing I'm going to need these gussets at the corners. Yeah, I think I will just be able to visualize everything better if I'm looking at an intact piece. All of the other laundry baskets are currently full of clean clothes that need to be folded and put away. So I should go in the house and do that folding. Also, it's lunchtime, so I'm gonna go eat my lunch. And I also need to go grocery shopping before I pick up the kids from school, so I probably won't be back out here today. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I'm back. It's actually been a couple of days, and I did fold and put away some of the laundry. And I have studied this basket, which is also in pretty poor condition, but fixing this one is yet to come. And I have also been rethinking my plan to use the mesh fabric for all of the parts, because it does have a bit of stretch to it, and I think that the bottom of the original baskets and also the side gussets at the top corners were made from the really thin polyester fabric for a reason, because it is much more stable and not stretchy. And I feel like that's actually going to be important. So I am actually going to use this scrap of an old sheet, actually the same old sheet that I made my purple dress from, to basically flatline the bottom section. I'm still going to use this piece underneath, but this will be an added layer for extra stability. And I think using both together is going to be the best possible option, because the cotton fabric does tear pretty easily. The whole reason this sheet was in my fabric stash is because it had a huge tear in it. But I want to have the mesh as sort of a protective layer for the fabric, and then the fabric as a stabilizing layer for the mesh. Does that make sense? Oh look, there's a hole right there. I think this will last longer than if I did either of these two alone. So that's the plan. I'm also going to use these little scraps in the corners for those gussets. And like I said, I've studied this and I think I have an order of operations to go with. I can see from the way the binding overlaps at the sides that the two sides with the handles were attached first, and the binding was put on all around at the same time as attaching the bottom layer. And then the opposite sides without the handles were sewn on top. You can see at this juncture that this crosses over. So I will need to map out exactly where these corner pieces are going to go, because they need to be attached to the handle sides first, and then sewn up the other side when I attach the opposite sides. So that means actually the very first thing I need to do is make the handles and cut out the bottom from the cotton fabric. And the gussets, of course. I have some concerns, mostly just about getting this under the sewing machine, but also about catching all of this very open mesh, which I'm starting to realize is a big part of the reason that my original laundry baskets were falling apart. So as you can see here at the top, this is the top edge of my handle, and if I were only catching this top loop, it could very easily, over time, pull out, because not all of these little circles are actually even complete. So I moved them up so that I would be sure to be catching a lower loop all the way across, so that I know it's actually going to stay in one piece. And I'm even more glad now that I decided to wrap the mesh pieces around the wire. I did that largely because I was concerned that over time the metal edge would wear through the mesh. And now I'm realizing, having studied both my intact existing laundry basket and the one that I took apart, that's not what was happening. It's that the mesh was just tearing at the stitching line because there wasn't enough of the fabric in the seam allowance. These laundry baskets were very cheaply and hastily made. I got what I paid for, and I could just easily keep replacing them every couple years, but I'm really hoping that my solution is going to last so much longer. And it's not about saving money, it's about reducing waste. I really hate waste. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and bind this entire edge. I have pinned everything in place where it needs to go to have the desired outcome, where the binding is all on the outside and the inside of the laundry basket is basically just a clean seam. Although it is going to have these bits of seam allowance of the mesh because I'm not going to trim that away. I don't care. It doesn't have to look good. It just has to function, right? And I say that fully aware that I'm making a bright purple laundry basket. It's going to be fun. Nobody's going to be examining it up close for flaws. It's just going to be a laundry basket. That's all I need it to be. It's fine. Okay, that was awful. So fiddly and tedious, and my shoulder is killing me. But on the plus side, I did manage to actually catch both sides of the bias tape all the way around, which is rather shocking. And now I just need to do the same thing 3 more times. And then do all of it 3 more times. Oofda! I don't want to. You know what though? I'm not going to do that right now because I am in physical pain from doing that last part. My shoulder and my back are both hurting. So I think a break is warranted and I can do the next part hopefully tomorrow. We'll see. In the meantime, I'm going to work on last month's UFO that I never finished. Why not? Okay, so I did take a break. I worked on another project. I also took a nap. That helped a lot. I did work on the other project again yesterday, all day. Did not get back to this one. But I'm back at it today. I went ahead and stitched all along a second row just to really secure the bias binding, because in some places the backside was not very secure. Anyway, I figure a second row of stitching can't hurt. It can only help. And I also went ahead and attached the other side, which was a little bit tricky, not as bad as I was expecting, but I do think that adding a third side is going to be difficult. But at least I'm done with the handles. I don't have to worry about those anymore. 2 handles on opposite sides. So I got them aligned correctly. That is good. And I've got all 4 corner pieces now attached. I'm a little apprehensive about adding the next side, mainly because I fear that my bias tape is not going to stretch enough and also be wide enough, because I need to make sure I am also catching the other side of the original somehow. So it looks like they kind of folded this in to be able to catch it there. I'm not really sure how that's gonna work. Okay, let me play with it. Spare you the full run of the rest of the footage of me wrestling this thing under the sewing machine. Even sped up, it's a lot. So instead, here's a montage of oofda moments. Enjoy. Oofda. 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 Okay, it's done. That was awful. I never want to do that again, let alone 3 more times. But it is done. It's functional. It is not as upright as the other one, if that makes sense. Like, I guess it's okay when I'm holding the handles, but when I let it go, it really flattens out. See what I mean? Like, this one stays not quite at 90 degrees. I mean, it's not square, but this is just so floppy. I don't know what I did wrong. Oh well, it's done. Hooray. Yeah, oofda. That pretty much sums it up. So glad to be done with that. I will eventually finish the other 3, but I'm going to need a break from that particular project. Anyway, it is now time to draw next month's number. Box number 11. I have no idea what that is. Let's find out. It's very light. Oh, that's right. It is the removable collars that I cut out from the remaining fabric of my cream bishop sleeve blouse. Because I loved the fabric so much, I did not want just the one blouse, and I could only get the one blouse. I cut out 2 collars in 2 different shapes, and I just need to put them together and add some sort of collar stand so that they can be attached to a dress or sweater. So that should be pretty easy. Yay! Yay for easy! Maybe I will get some work done on some of the other unfinished UFOs in the meantime. I do want to point out I am wearing the skirt that I finally made to match the January UFO. I'm not wearing the blouse with it right now because I still don't like it very much. And I wanted to wear a blouse that I really like today, so put on my lovely old long sleeve mint green one. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give me a like, and if you want to see more, definitely subscribe. And tune in next month to see how well I do on my UFO project for April. And I'll see you soon. Bye. And cut out the bottom from this. And cut out the... I can talk. Whatever project is in the corresponding numbers, and add some fort. Oh,